Hello, and welcome to the afterlife. Happy New Year, everybody. At the time of recording this, it is January 8th, so it's a little bit nippy out here. Um, but tonight we're going to be talking about an entity you may have tried to conjure up before as a kid. Maybe you've even seen her in your dreams or your worst nightmares. But whatever you call her, you likely know her as the name Bloody Mary.
Yeah, it's gonna be snowing tonight. It's
It,
pretty cold here too. The weird thing I was reading was that rain, I guess that draws out ghosts, like rivers and lakes and just water, so I wonder if snow has the same effect. Have you ever heard that? I was
yeah,
just
that's
reading that like 5 minutes ago.
that's a good question. I have heard in the previous years that water amplifies like energy because they say water is energy. So any kind of like a town or something like that that had like water running through it like a river that could intensify like paranormal activity. But yeah, no, I didn't hear. I don't know about snow. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't see why it wouldn't. you know? I mean, I don't think ghosts get cold, so I don't think, the snow is gonna deter them any.
Yeah, they're probably just eternally cold.
Yeah.
Maybe. They probably don't even feel, I guess. Maybe they do. Do you think Bloody Mary feels sensations, or is it just. Dang, I hope my stomach isn't showing up in the
No,
mic.
I heard it.
But do you think she feels Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, so do you think she, feels, sensations or just pure vengeance?
That's a very interesting question. And I think it really depends on who Bloody Mary really is. I think that really determines it. I mean, there's,
Which no one really knows. There's some good guesses, but
yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of like tales like throughout different cultures of like little girls or girls in general just kind of dying and you summon them in a mirror. They met some kind of tragic end. I know there's one in Japan. I can't remember her name, but it's like the Japanese version of Bloody Mary. And she was like a Japanese schoolgirl, and I think she was bullied, and then she ended up like taking herself out. And then you can summon her by going into the mirror and saying her name. So, you know, um, I think it really depends on who Bloody Mary actually is. Is Bloody Mary like an actual spirit? Is there only one Bloody Mary that you summon when you chant Bloody Mary? Uh, or is there several Bloody Mary like entities? That is kind of that are donned as Bloody Mary? I don't know. But have you ever heard of scrying before?
yeah, but I've heard that word, but I don't remember what it means.
Okay, so scrying. Actually, let me look up the definition. But as I look that up, I'll just kind of explain it to the best of what I know. Basically, scrying is like when you're looking into something, be it like fire, water, a mirror,
Oh, yeah.
and you're doing that um, in order to like see glimpses into the future. Here we go. From Wikipedia, we have scrying, often referred to as seeing or peeping, is a practice rooted in divination and fortune telling. It involves gazing into a medium, hoping to receive significant messages or visions that could offer personal guidance, uh, prosperity, or revelation or inspiration. So, in order to scry, here methods. Um, One method of scrying involves a self-induced trance with or without the aid of a medium such as a crystal ball or via modern technology. Huh. Even with the smartphone. Interesting. Um,
Whoa.
hmm.
And this is like what gypsies do, right?
Yeah, like scrying, it's kind of rooted like in occultism. Different other cultures I know would practice scrying meditation. Here, even in this, it says Hebrew Bible divination is briefly mentioned in chapter 44 of the book of Genesis. A silver chalice or cup is deliberately planted in Benjamin's sack when he leaves Egypt, later to be used as evidence of theft. It is revealed that the cup belongs to Joseph. Um, the vizier of
It's messed up.
Egypt, who stewed the claim, was used for drinking and divination during the course of the accusation. This is mentioned to reinforce his disguise as an Egyptian nobleman. Nothing in the book of Genesis indicates that Joseph actually used the cup for divination. So it sounds like that cup was used for looking in. You'd probably stare into the chalice and scry, but there's different methods. Typically, it's like looking into a basin of water, I've heard, staring into fire. And of course, we're talking about Bloody Mary, so of course, mirrors. Um, Bela Lag-
Yours are spooky.
they actually are kind of scary, to be honest. Bela Lugosi, uh, he was the actor who played.
Oh, it's like that Bauhaus song.
Yes, yeah. Bela Lugosi, he played
No way.
Dracula. I believe that was
Whoa.
1935 or six. I want to say. I could be wrong.
Dang, that song's even cooler now
Yeah.
to
Um.
me. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a chick too, just by the song,
Oh, by the
like
name.
how it looked. I thought it was like a chick he was singing about.
Oh no, Bela Lugosi was a dude. Really cool
Yeah,
dude.
because I read it like Bella, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's wild though. That's
Y-
cool.
Yeah. He actually played Dracula, and he did a lot of horror movies. Um. But actually, he was also heavily involved in spiritualism and scrying. Like that was just kind of like a thing of the time. Um, along the lines of like how people are doing seances, Ouija boards, that kind of stuff. So
What are seances?
so seance.
You can keep it short because I bet most people already know
Okay.
what this
Well,
is, but I, I don't know.
so seances. It's like when you gather around a table of someone who's like a psychic medium, and you all hold hands in an attempt to communicate with the dead, typically voiced through
Oh,
the medium.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay, so I've seen that in like movies and
yeah,
stuff,
movies, TV shows, The Simpsons, I'm sure.
videos.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay, so he was into all that stuff.
yeah, so scrying. So I'm not saying he ever saw Bloody Mary. I don't know. Maybe he might have, but I'm just gonna. I just want to throw that in as a little tidbit. Um, so kind of going with that with scrying is and you may have already heard about this, but there was um this game of like divination that women would play back in like the 1800s. So basically, um, it was pretty similar to scrying. only as like I said, it was a little party game kind of. And what they would do, and this is sort of pre Bloody Mary, but what they would do was they would walk backwards up the stairs holding a dimly lit candle,
Oh yeah,
and they would turn around and look in the mirror. And let me see. So yeah,
that's weird. Like that triggered a memory. Not a memory,
like
but
a
like I've heard of that people doing that.
yeah, yeah.
So like why did they do it?
So basically,
Isn't it like to find out if they're like gonna get a husband or something?
yes, exactly. So um, right here it says it was usually performed on Halloween, or often performed on Halloween. But they would walk backwards up the stairs with a dimly lit candle and go to the top of the stairs, you know, to the mirror. And then the idea was they would catch a glimpse of their future husband's face in the mirror,
Oh,
and then they would know that
whoa.
they're going to get married. I believe they would be married later
Okay.
that year or sometime in the near future. Now, if they would see skull in the mirror instead, that would signify that they were going to die before they got married.
Damn. I don't know. I wouldn't want to know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I would.
So,
Then you could like mentally prepare. Like, I don't know.
I guess.
You could stop like daydreaming maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of like that. Yeah, it's weird. I'd have to think about that. I see why they did it though.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean,
I
um
wouldn't want to mess with that stuff though. That's spooky.
yeah. Yeah. So I guess, back in the day they married really young, so maybe they kind of figured I don't have anything to lose. So, I don't know. And
Oh
I
yeah.
guess the other
And I think it was a bigger deal back then
oh,
too.
for
Like
sure.
I feel like girls are like way more independent now. They're like they don't really I'm sure they care, but it's like I think back then too, it's like that's all they had. Like they couldn't like go and like make a career or like I don't know,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, and plus people didn't live that long back then anyway.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense, but um and that's kind of a um a precursor to Bloody Mary. Now, I don't know quite when Bloody Mary started becoming a game. Like, I'm honestly not sure. Um,
I want to say mirrors have only been around what like 200, 300 years. That's my guess, but I don't
well, I
know.
guess like with the silver-backed mirrors, I think, right? Because I mean, even in Egypt, I believe they had like some form of
Oh
mirrors.
shoot.
I don't think it was like the
So
the type of mirrors
damn.
that we have today. Like, not anything as clear.
Yeah. And then you had like water reflection.
Yeah, I think it was more of like a polished like gold or something. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Maybe even a
Yeah.
silver,
Interesting.
but
So like modern mirrors probably. Ah shoot, we should have looked into that. I guess I could right now,
yeah,
but
yeah. Let's
I
look it
did
up.
want to mention before I start looking it up, because you were like talking about like theories on who she was. And this relates to one of the stories I picked out, but the thought that it's not just one entity, kind of like what we talked about with the Hat Man in our Hat Man episode, which I don't know if this will be out or that will be out first, but people like you guys would see what we're talking about, but like the thought that it could be even just like a demon you're summoning, or like it might not be the Bloody Mary entity all the time. And this story kind of goes into that too. I'm excited to scare you guys with it, but
Yeah.
let me look up this history on mirrors.
Yeah, so actually while you were saying that, I was just kind of looking into it myself.
Oh,
It looks like legit mirrors um s- between 1690 and 1700. Oh, let's see. Venice, Italy was the center of the mirror industry in the 1500s. Um, let's see here. Well, okay. Reflective surfaces made of polished obsidian are the oldest quote-unquote mirrors in the archaeological record. In the archaeological record, excuse me, dating back as far as 4000 BC.
whoa,
Hmm.
whoa, that's pretty cool. I wonder if they still make those and how clear they are, or if it's like you're just seeing a silhouette, basically.
That's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah, just imagine like, I mean, yeah, I keep mentioning the water reflection thing, but even that, it's like you can't. Maybe if it's like pristine water and it's not moving, it's like a pretty perfect reflection, but I bet it used to be like really hard to look at yourself back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh man, that's
But
weird.
so
I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
so that's about all. I don't know exactly when. Let me look this up. When did Bloody Mary first become a game? Um, I want to say probably, you know, turn of the century, maybe. I'm, I'm guessing. Let's see.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Let's see what they have to say.
I would
Okay.
think it's dependent on how, like, it seems like no one really knows the origin.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing.
if somehow, if somehow it started as soon as the wherever it came from died, then it just like kept being passed down for generations, or did someone just come upon some story that has since been lost to time and they tried it, or did someone like how I don't know how you would just stumble across that, like you accidentally you're like standing in a dark room and you decide to say Bloody Mary 3 times. It seems like something you'd have to learn about and then do.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
it's really
you
like a
couldn't just like
form of
accidentally figure that out.
necromancy, kind of like divination. Yeah, definition.
Yeah, like a spell.
You know, can you hear me? You cut out for a sec.
Yeah, I just said like a spell. It's like you're casting a spell.
You mean Bloody Mary? Like the Yeah, I mean,
Well, you related it to
to me it seems like a really
necromancy.
simple spell because you're kind of chanting it like 3 times. I mean, I've heard sometimes you have to say it six. Um, but I don't know.
Oh, see, there's no way
Yeah,
that could be accidental.
I
It's like
can't really
someone
find
would have had
anything
to
on the
teach.
exact time frame. Yeah, I mean it's the same kind of thing. I can't find anything here on exactly when the game kind of first started becoming a thing. But if I had to guess,
It might have, it might be murky just because, like, yeah, we don't know where this came from to begin with, and it's probably been around since then,
so I'm not exactly
you
sure
know?
when Bloody
Like, one
Mary
of
started
the
becoming a
origin
thing.
stories is she was, like, casting a curse as she was, like, being burnt away. And she said, like,
Oh
if you,
yeah,
like, stand in front of a mirror and say my name 3 times, and then, you know, maybe that word
as I'm
of mouth
surrounded
just
by
got
mirrors.
around. The people that witnessed that obviously probably didn't do that, but they talked about it, and maybe their kids were like, yo, my parents, they said to not do this, so I might try it out.
Yeah,
And then, like, I don't know, it just like spreads and gets distorted. And it's trippy to think about. Like, when I heard about it as a kid, like, I might have been hearing about it, like, that story of Bloody Mary. And to think it was, like, passed down from generations for, like, hundreds of years is pretty trippy.
yeah. I mean, it
So,
definitely.
did you ever try it? I might have already asked you, but, like, did you ever try it?
So I remember being a little kid, and I have this vague memory of being over at your house, and all the neighborhood kids were over, and we were in one of your bathrooms, and they kept all these kids were like daring each
Yeah.
other to play Bloody Mary. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think we did it a few times and on like a few different occasions,
And
yeah.
I remember like
But
all like the
it was
neighborhood kids came
spooky.
running out, and they're like, "Oh, I saw Bloody Mary! I saw Bloody Mary!" I didn't believe it, because I wasn't in the bathroom. I think like it must have been the smaller bathroom because I think there's like too many people in there. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, I don't think I ever really went in all in on it either. Like, I might have went in and then after they said it like twice I was out, or
yeah,
I turned the light on. I was like, guys, this is, stop screwing around.
yeah. I remember when I was a little
Uh,
kid. I don't. I can exactly give you like a time frame. Um, maybe like 6, 7, something like that. I remember sometimes I'd like go into the bathroom and like turn off the light and like dare myself, and I would kind of see like the first one, and I'd get way too scared to turn the light on.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, maybe I would have seen something. Um, because kids, they have a tendency to attract energy because like they're so well. One, it's like they're innocent, right? The other reason is because they're like full of like energy to the point where it's like they're overflowing with energy in such a way that it's attractive to um, different. I guess you could say entities. They kind of see that as a beacon of light because they see all this energy kind of coming off of kids, so they kind of like feed off of that. And then, of course, like what's the best energy a spirit can feed off of? Well, fear. So who are like really easy to scare? Little kids, full of energy anyway, and then you got them all screaming. So
Hmm.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
have you heard?
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me get my light here. Um, Here we go. Um, have you heard of the dissociative identity effect?
No.
So basically, what it is I don't know who did the study, but I remember hearing that some place actually conducted a study, and I don't think they were playing Bloody Mary per se, but they had you go into a dimly lit room with like just with like a light bulb, like barely emitting any light, and you had to stare into a mirror. And I want to say it was like maybe 20 minutes or more, maybe however long you could last. But basically, what the study found is if you look at yourself in a mirror for an extended period of time in a dimly lit setting, your mind will actually trick itself to make your face distort. So some people reported seeing their face look all distorted. Maybe they saw themselves with a sinister smile, or their face was all elongated or something. Uh, Other people reported seeing their image morph into like an animal, or morph into the image of one of their parents, or someone that they knew that had previously passed away, or even like
Yeah, yeah,
some kind of
that's
like a
wild.
monster, some kind of like horrendous thing.
Hmm, that's probably what I would see.
Yeah, but it is interesting because this is actually like scientifically proven. Um,
Hmm.
so I mean,
Well, I have had an experience where, like, it was a long drive home, and I was just staring at myself in the reflection of the side mirror in the passenger seat,
mhm,
and just for a long time, and like, my face was like looking all weird. I'll just leave it at that.
like, did your face distort or something?
And that was like in the middle of a day. No, I just started to look kind of ugly. Like, it's weird.
Oh, okay.
Like, I started to look like, I guess, yeah, I guess it was a distortion then.
Yeah,
Yeah, like my facial features started looking all weird. But, that was like during the day.
mm,
So it's probably an even stronger effect in a dimly lit room with a bigger mirror. And if you're
yeah,
like focusing, like I was like focusing pretty hard on just staring at my face, but I wasn't looking at like one point. Like maybe it's stronger if you like literally just look at your nose and you focus at your nose. You're not like scanning around your face.
yeah. Seeing all the
And
details and
maybe
stuff.
like if you focus on standing really still, it's stronger. It's weird though, like it makes me want to try that, not with faces because that would be scary, but just maybe even the scrying thing, but like not with the intention to see the future, just the intention to kind of like trip out a little
Just
bit,
stare
like
into
just
something.
like looking at a flame or like I don't know, looking at a Christmas tree
Yeah, looking into like
and just seeing
water
what
or something.
happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, almost like experimenting with a psychedelic drug,
yeah,
like coming from that
yeah.
perspective. But that would be interesting. I might do that.
Now, I think you had something similar, like a different effect that you were going to talk about.
That's pretty much the same. Yeah, I don't know why it's like named different things, but yeah, I was talking about that same experiment, and it's called the I'm guessing it's like the same effect but different names. The Troxler effect.
Mm,
Or maybe the Troxler effect is something else and it's just mixed up. But I heard that on a podcast today and they talked about the same experiment you were
mm.
talking
Oh, okay.
about.
Um, yeah, but I remember mirrors have always kind of tripped me out. Um, Over at my grandma's house, I remember um, she used to work in um, this really big mansion, and she was like kind of like a caretaker slash housekeeper. And I remember one time I went to go stay with my grandma when I was a little kid, probably like around 7 or so. And there's this one hallway, it's a really long hallway, and it's like a really fancy bathroom, like gold leaf, with like black paint. And I remember, I think it was like a wallpaper or something like that, but it had like these kind of like peacocks or something. Because I remember it very distinctly, like in the pattern, you would see like their eyes, and I do remember walking past that hallway. Like if the bathroom door was open, I don't know what it was. Something about that mirror in that bathroom just tripped me out. So I remember I always get like a chill down my spine and just kind of like run, like speed walk really fast past that bathroom. And then I remember like if we were in the kitchen maybe making lunch and my grandma said, "Oh, um, my TV show is gonna go turn on. I'm gonna be on soon. Could you go to the room and go turn on the TV?" So I have to like power walk past the bathroom really fast, get in the safe spot, turn it on, run past the bathroom again. Um, I mean, I don't know. Even when I was younger, I remember I was staying over at it was at our house, but I was sleeping in the guest bedroom, which is like slash my grandma's room. And there's like these full length closet mirrors. And I remember one night, I remember just like waking up and being like horrified. Because like like Nosferatu, like the silent film.
Yeah.
So this is gonna sound really funny. But I remember seeing him in the mirror, like his full body, but he wasn't moving. I would just like see his eyes just kind of like follow me. And I remember like waking up and like being like horrified and like screaming, like, Nosferatu's in the mirror. Um, so like mirrors have always kind of tripped me out, especially when I was little. When I got a little older, um, when I was about 14, 15 years old, um, so you remember um how there's like the two bathrooms next to each other at my parents' house?
Uh,
There's like the
Actually, I
little
don't know
tiny
if I've ever
bathroom.
been in the other one.
Okay, well there's like the little tiny bathroom, and then right next door to it was like a bigger bathroom, just with like a shower. Anyway, I was
Okay. Oh yeah, actually I
I
do
was
remember that now.
okay. I was standing in the bigger bathroom, and I was like washing my hands, doing something, and that bathroom door, like it was open, right? Just washing my hands. I don't know. Probably got done like trimming my non-existent beard or something like that. Well, I don't know. I was like 14, so I probably had stubble or something. I was probably trimming my beard, cleaning up. And I remember looking in the mirror, and I could clearly see someone standing in the hallway. Because if you stand in the hallway, you'd be seen in the mirror if the door was open. I remember seeing someone like this chick with blonde hair and like a pink tank top, and she just kind of stand there, and then like her face. Like, you remember the Grinch, like the
Yeah,
cartoon
dude.
movie? Yeah,
Oh, the
like just
cartoon, yeah.
yeah, you remember like just like that devious smile, like he has like this wide grin.
Whoa.
It's just kind of like, and his mouth kind of curls up. Like I remember like seeing like it sounds funny looking back. I remember seeing not like a face quite like that, but she had like this really like creepy smile, and I remember just being like really scared. And I was like close the mirror shut and look behind me. There's nothing there. And then it kind of became like a um I guess like a regular occurrence. It wasn't like an everyday thing, but it was like a common occurrence, I guess. Because it was common enough to where I would see her in the mirror and I wouldn't think anything of it. You know,
Was she
it's
always
almost
doing
like,
the menacing smile?
sometimes she was and sometimes she wasn't. It was really weird. Um,
When she wasn't,
but
was it just more of like a stoic face, or like did she look mad, or like, do
kind of
you
like a
remember?
blank stare. I remember it's kind of
Huh.
like a blank stare, but it wasn't really anything like, okay, for example, maybe I'm brushing my teeth. It wasn't like she's there the whole duration while I'm brushing my teeth. It was one of those things like you kind of look up for a few seconds, you look down and, nothing there, that kind of a thing.
So you got to the point where you wouldn't turn around?
I remember the first couple of times I turned around, and then like I said, it just kind of became a thing to where,
You'd turn around and not see anything.
right, not see anything, and
Huh.
then maybe nothing in the mirror by the time I turn around again. But it was such a common thing. It's like, you don't even notice. I mean, it's like if it's summer and you're walking around the house and you see a fly on the wall and it's not bugging you, no pun intended. But if it's not like flying around in your face, you're not going to think anything of it. It's hot, it's summer, there's a fly on the wall. It was that kind of a thing. It's like if you're walking in the park and you see a leaf on the ground, chances are you're going to see it, but you're not really going to take notice of it. That's kind of how it was like. And there was actually a similar occurrence, same area, same bathroom, where I'm not going to say her name, but I saw a mutual teacher of ours in the mirror.
Whoa. Okay, you have to tell
Yeah,
me who that was after. But
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
did
Really,
that
but she didn't
scare
do
you? And
anything.
was that after you stopped seeing? Well, first off, do you remember the last time you saw the blonde chick? Or was it just
Um,
like so monotonous at that point that it's like you wouldn't have
yeah,
remembered the last time?
I really don't remember the last time. I remember like kind of telling my sister about it. Um, there's one of those things. It just kind of stopped all of a sudden one day, and then probably somewhere in between, I saw like one of like our mutual teachers kind of looking at me in the mirror. I'm like, what the hell? I whipped around, no one there, obviously. So that was like really weird. So I don't know if it was like something like mimicking someone that I knew, or maybe I was just stressing out about an assignment so much that I, imagined them behind me. Who knows? Um,
It's wild.
so yeah,
And
I've always
okay,
kind of
one
had like,
last question about the blonde chick thing.
yeah,
So your kitchen, right?
yeah,
As you're
yeah.
walking in, just to the left of it on the wall, isn't there like a mirror thing right there, or was there?
Yeah, there was in the hallway. Yeah, there used to be.
And I, this might be like a false memory, but didn't you say you saw her in that mirror one time too?
Hmm. Um, Maybe not that I recall. Nothing's coming to mind off the top of my head, but I might have.
So it was like always, as far as you can remember, it was always that one particular mirror.
Yeah, it's always that. Yeah, it was always like the one spot.
So the thought that mirrors are a portal to the spirit world. Like, what do you think about that?
So, um, you know, it's been used for like divination and, scrying, since really as far as we can tell, the dawn of time. Um, and even with that little pinpoint I read, they said, or, with modern technology. So I think it's always kind of been a thing and it's always kind of adapted and changed um paths a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I think it just makes sense, for mirrors to be like sort of like a portal. Um, I've even heard to where you shouldn't have two mirrors facing each other. Because like that was like the
Whoa.
trend like 10
How
years ago.
come?
You'd make an infinity mirror, make an infinity mirror table or something. Remember that?
That was a trend. That's a creepy trend. Like, make a mirror
Yeah.
tunnel and you just brush your teeth and you see like millions of you and.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mirror tunnel. It was like a trend. They even sold them online. It was like infinity mirror, and usually it's like a backlit kind of thing to
Millions
where
is
like you
an
turn on.
understatement. It's probably an unlimited amount of you
Yeah,
brushing your
probably. I mean,
teeth.
but I mean, I did that too as a kid. I'd like pinpoint all the mirrors, make look at all these weird angles and stuff. But
Yeah, I
um,
remember doing that in like Home Depot in the mirror section. I'd like
yeah,
make a
same.
mirror tunnel and I was like tripping out.
Yeah, or like a house of mirrors or something. But yeah, I've heard that if you have two mirrors facing each other directly, it creates an infinite loop, which creates a portal or like a vortex. So
Whoa, that actually
I've heard
makes
that's
sense.
yeah, so I've kind of heard that's like a no-no. Um,
That's so weird. Imagine
but
if there really is an end to the mirror tunnel and the end is like the underworld.
like the way I kind of
Maybe it
envision it,
doesn't go on forever. Like, how could it?
you kind of triggered like a memory. I was listening to like a Reddit story like a while ago, and there's something similar to that effect. It was like this mirror, um, I don't know, some kind of like weird like mirror story, and there's like this alternate mirror, like dimension or something. I don't know, just like a little thought. You just kind of triggered a memory, but anyway, but yeah,
Um,
no,
yeah.
uh, like I said, I think since they've been used so long for scrying for spiritual practices. Yeah, definitely. I think if you're not careful and you're susceptible, you're young, you got a lot of energy, you don't know what you're getting into. I think 100% you can open up portals that you never meant to open. Um, I don't know why I saw that chick in the mirror. Um, I didn't know who she was. Never seen her in my life. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I saw my cousin in the mirror or something like that. Or, you
Right.
know,
And like you didn't you say your house was new? Like there was no one else living in there before your family moved in, right?
yeah, I think it was just like a weekend home and it was like two old people lived
Okay.
there.
So
But it was
where'd
like,
you get the mirror? Do you know the history of that particular mirror?
I don't, the mirrors were all matching, like the three bathrooms.
So that makes it seem like they were bought new.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't like,
Probably not like a
yeah, this,
thrift store
right. This
where
wasn't
it
like a,
could potentially have attachments.
yeah, it was like a cabinet mirror, like you swing it open, there's like a cabinet behind it.
Yeah.
So,
Weird.
Yeah, so
Very
um
strange. Maybe there
yeah, I
was
don't
like
know. What
some other object in the house that that entity was attached to.
I don't know,
Maybe
dude.
even in
I
the
mean,
bathroom.
mm, I don't know. I mean, maybe it could be. I think if you're open and you're susceptible to like ghosts and other entities, like I said earlier, I think they can almost just sense that and see it as a beacon of light. So who knows? Maybe it was like some kind of weird ghost or something that just saw an opening, saw me in front of a mirror, and went through some portal thing and saw two mirrors lined up, and boom, there she was. I don't know,
Damn.
but yeah, there's one day I just kind of stopped seeing her, and just didn't happen. Yeah, it hasn't happened since. So, um, but yeah, I've always kind of had like a weird little, not like a phobia, or not even like a fear of mirrors. Because I mean, I walk past mirrors all the time, but I don't know. It's just kind of like when I see a mirror, it's like it's not just a reflection. I always kind of think of it as some a little something stronger. But I think you had a few like Reddit stories
Yeah, dude.
that you came up with that you wanted to share.
I agree on mirrors being really scary. I was over that for a while until today.
Until
uh,
just now.
yeah. Now they're scary again, and I don't want to go into my bathroom. Okay, so I have a couple. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one I kind of brought up earlier. When I was like talking about how maybe it's not the Bloody Mary, if that's even a thing. I don't want to,
Hmm.
test that, but the idea that it could
One
be just an
individual, one
entity
entity.
coming,
Yeah.
because like you said, a lot of the people that do this, they're like little kids. I couldn't really imagine an adult doing this unless, I don't know. Maybe if I were like an atheist and I was like, alright, I just want to like prove myself right. I'm gonna give this a try. But even then, like I feel like I would feel silly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like
I,
as a grown man, just in a bathroom.
yeah.
And then if you do
You give
believe
me
in it, it's just terrifying and you wouldn't want to mess with it. But for some reason, I think when you're like a kid, it's like you think that you're safe, like your innocence keeps you safe. Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of triggered like a little memory. I remember when I was 13, I was visiting some family in Mexico, and I was at this one house. There's like a little barbecue. There's all these cousins running around playing, and I remember I was like kind of at that weird stage where I was like older than like all the kids, but I was like still kind of like young, so I wasn't quite hanging out with the adults. So I'd kind of bounce back and forth between rooms, but there was this one room that was like outside, and I think it was like a little bathroom or washroom or something, and like there's all like these lights off, and so it's like, what are they doing? There's like this one dude out of nowhere. It's like, what are they doing? I was like, oh, I think they're playing Bloody Mary.
Oh
And then he was
shit.
like, and
It's
then he
going
was just kind of
down
like,
in there.
yeah, he was like this old dude. He's kind of laughed. He's like, kids. And then he just kind of walked away, and I was like, yeah, right. Um, and then I remember my cousins running out screaming. They're like, ah, I saw Bloody Mary. I do remember being like kind of like creeped out. Dude, this is so weird,
Fuck.
But what was even weirder was that dude. I never saw him again.
Whoa.
Like he was just
Oh.
gone. Yeah. So you just kind of triggered that little memory. Or maybe I did see him the next day. I think I did see him the next day. I don't remember. It's been a minute, but I don't know. whether I saw him the next day or not, I
Dang,
think
I'm
I
glad I
did, but no.
triggered that memory. That's a spooky
Yeah,
story, bro.
I'm pretty sure I saw him the
I
next day.
don't think
I
I
don't
have
know.
any other personal Bloody Mary stories other than, yeah,
Yeah.
just messing around at my house when we were
Well,
kids.
didn't your brother say he like saw an old lady in the bathroom mirror or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I've heard, talks about my old house being haunted by an old lady, just in general, but that's probably where it
Was
stemmed from,
was
or
it
where it originated from.
was it the California house or the Georgia house?
The California house in the
Oh, okay.
bathroom where we were doing the Bloody Mary thing,
Oh,
but
okay. So your parents' bathroom.
that's, or, well, I guess, no, it would have been his bathroom, but I guess when
Oh,
you
okay.
were over, we were doing it in there. But for the most part, like when we were kids, like we'd do it in that bathroom. It was just scarier. Like my parents' bathroom wasn't as scary. But
That's true.
I don't know, apparently it works in non-scary bathrooms too. Uh yeah, so I don't know. I guess my point was like, yeah, like it might not be Bloody Mary. It might just be an entity that, like you said, sees this high energy individual as like individuals, usually like a group of kids, and they're scared and they're like, that's just like moths to a light bulb.
Yeah, like moths to a flame.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Moths to a flame.
Now
That's
that
how the phrase goes.
yeah.
Not a light bulb.
Yeah. Well, I guess they go to light bulbs too, but I mean personally I've never seen a moth
Flame
go up to a
sounds cooler.
flame, but
That would be way cooler to see. They just
yeah.
like light on
Um
fire.
yeah. I know you want to get into some stories, but um I don't know, that just kind of makes me think of it um almost like a Ouija board. It's like you don't know who's on the other side. Um it's like you might be hoping to contact one particular individual and you don't really know. You could be talking to like who knows, some malevolent spirit, maybe like a demon, um, something of that nature, maybe another ghost, maybe even the person you're trying to talk to. Who knows? But I really, now that we kind of discussed it, that's how I kind of feel. Although you're not really trying to communicate and talk with someone, it's just like in every story that I've heard growing up, it was always like you would see someone appear in the mirror and she'd go out and like scratch your face.
Yeah, I was listening to this one video where I don't know if there's any records of this, but the lady talking about it, she was like, oh yeah, it was on BuzzFeed Unsolved, I think. She was like saying like
Oh, okay.
sometimes people have had like their eyes scratched out and died and stuff, and I'm like, what? I never heard about that. That's
Yeah, I've
wild.
never heard of that. I've heard of people
So
like claiming that stuff, but well, not dying, of course. But I've heard
the
people like, oh my
scratches
gosh.
thing seems pretty
Yeah,
common, but the eyes gouging out thing, like, whoa, that is
yeah.
intense. And then there was a
But
story
sorry, dude.
that I didn't add because it wasn't that, like, I don't know, it seemed like it could have been coincidental, but like, some kids were messing around and one of the kids' noses started to bleed. I'm like, that could have just been coincidence, but I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
It was still pretty scary, but yeah,
yeah,
I don't know, dude. I think I'm ready to read the stories.
yeah. No,
I
I was
don't
gonna say,
know.
Yeah, no,
I
it's just
think
a,
we pretty much covered.
yeah, with that, let's get into some stories here.
Sick, dude. All right. So my high school experience by the True Geek Freak. This is a true story that happened to me 4 years ago now, during my second year in high school. I've never been the most social person growing up. I was homeschooled, and because of that, by the time I reached my first year of high school, I had zero social skills. After my pretty uneventful first year, I was moved to a new school where I expected to be friendless again. But on my first day, my mom was running late to pick me up, and I was bored out of my mind. Luckily, there were two other guys there with me, and we soon got to talking. For now, I'll call these dudes John and Milo. John had just moved from Canada, so he would be staying after school every day until his parents had finished settling in, and Milo was the principal's nephew and lived at the school with the principal and his family. The three of us became really good friends, and soon the teachers were calling us the Three Musketeers. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone really lives at school in the US. I'm guessing this dude's from the UK because he spelled mom
Yeah.
like M-U-M. But, so Milo lives at school with,
Oh,
because he's
okay.
like the principal's nephew or whatever.
Yeah. I've never heard of that in my life,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's kind of
continue.
weird. Uh, so, I've always had an interest in the supernatural, and I have way too many stories of weird things I've seen and heard. One day, while we were just chilling in our empty classroom, we started talking about paranormal experiences we'd had. One story in particular caught all our interest. John told us about how at his old school, a kid from his class had tried playing the Charlie Charlie ritual game. Have you ever heard of that, by the way?
Um, I have I can't remember the exact origins, but I know it's along the lines of like Bloody Mary. I thought it's like you write Charlie Charlie, I think. You can continue and I can get up while you
Yeah, I think I saw some kids. Yeah, I remember seeing like some kids in class do it, but it weirded me out, so I stopped paying attention. But
yeah.
I'm kind of curious to look into that. Maybe another topic idea for us. But right after he finished, his eyes rolled back in his head and he started convulsing. In the end, his teachers had to call an ambulance, and a few days later, his parents pulled him out of school. Since all of us had nothing better to do, we all decided to try a ritual game and see what would happen. After some debating, we all agreed the best to try would be Bloody Mary since it was the most popular and all of us were familiar with it. Besides us, the school was nearly empty now, and there were only a few teachers getting ready to lock up in the meeting room. Since we wouldn't be bothered by anyone, we decided to use the main boys' bathroom, which had one of the biggest mirrors I'd ever seen in my life. It stretched from the ceiling to the floor. Since all of us were too scared to go alone, we decided to try summoning her together, so that if anything happened, one of us could go get help, and so that there was a better chance of seeing something. See, I don't know if you have a higher chance with multiple people. I actually theorize that you have a higher chance when you're doing it alone, but
Yeah, I
it's
remember
probably
I
smart to
do remember
go
hearing that.
in a
Yeah.
group in case that one dude starts Oh, you've heard that? Yeah, that was just like a thought. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so uh it's still smart to do it just because they're in a group. If that one kid
Yeah.
starts like, what did they call it? Convulsing? Like spazzing out again? Like, there's still a couple of them to go get help. Right outside the bathrooms, there was a hole in the ceiling. It was a maintenance duct that led to the ceiling crawl space. one of the only places other than a supply basement that students weren't allowed to go. Not even Milo was allowed there. The cover had fallen off and never been replaced, so it was a running joke that one day something would jump out and attack some poor unsuspecting kid. That day, none of us found the idea funny, and we all made it a point to rush past it and into the bathroom. As soon as we got inside, the lights went out. Power cuts weren't uncommon in the area, but we all thought it was a bit ominous. After we were ready, we all stood side by side with each other and said it. And I'm not going to repeat it
Yeah.
because I don't want to manifest anything. So they said it 3 times into the mirror all at once. I don't know what we were expecting, but there was no screaming demon, no dark red blood splatters, not even the shyest spectra showed itself. All of us let out a collective sigh of relief and we started laughing about it almost at once. We all walked pretty leisurely out of the bathroom and stood just outside the door laughing at how dumb we had been, having scared ourselves like that. It was probably out of habit, but after a few seconds of standing around feeling like idiots, we all looked up at the hole in the ceiling. Before we had all been certain that we were the only people other than a few teachers, but when we looked up, we saw a dark male figure, darker than the surrounding shadows, his face obscured by the unearthly gloom with his hands behind his back, standing on the edge of the gaping hole, bending over and looking down at us. We didn't even have time to scream. All of us rushed out of the school faster than we had ever tried getting to class. Outside, the sky was gray, and a few fat raindrops had begun falling. My mom had just driven into the schoolyard to come pick me up, and John's dad had just got there too. But we had left our bags and stuff inside. Fortunately, Milo was kind enough to climb in through the classroom window for us to pass us our things, all while the door to the class was closed and locked from the inside, naturally. John and I felt bad for leaving Milo alone, but he followed our example and went home to the cottage behind the school where he stayed. A few days passed after that, and by then we had all talked about it and decided that we must have just imagined it all. Still, we all made it a habit to stick around each other and never be alone inside the school building. We even started waiting outside the bathroom for each other. Eventually, we started trying out other ritual games, but only a few of them seemed to work. And then, still, none of them had the same effect as Bloody Mary. One night, though, Milo said he was sitting in our classroom reading. His uncle and cousins had gone out, but he stayed behind to do homework. It was late now, and he was reading while the classroom door was open. Suddenly, he said he heard both the front entrance and the back door, which was meant for staff only, open at the same time, and then slam shut after. He told us that as soon as the door shut, there was a blackout, and he heard something starting to run down the passageway to the classroom where he was sitting. He got up and closed the door, locking it from the inside. When we saw him the next day, he looked horrified and told us how he had slept in the classroom. Dang, that's wild. Like, he just stayed in there all night. A few months passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's terrifying. Like, I would think he would be able to call the principal, like his uncle or aunt or whatever, and, like,
Yeah.
ask for help. Maybe he didn't have a phone. A few months passed. We weren't playing any more ritual games. Now we were mostly just browsing the dark web. Oh, no, it says on Milo's phone.
Hmm.
That's weird.
Maybe he left it or something.
Huh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Or the
Maybe.
blackout, maybe that affected the internet. I don't know. A new girl had just arrived, and we heard from a friend of ours, Bug, that this new girl, who all here call Mayo, was psychic. She was an upperclassman, so we never got much of a chance to talk to her. But one day, while she was getting ready to go home, we found her aunt told her our story. She said that since she had got there, she'd had a bad feeling about the place, especially around the bathrooms. She explained that she could see the ghosts of humans who had recently died and hadn't yet passed on, but she hadn't seen anything in the school. Instead, she said that she just had bad vibes all the time, and she felt like something non-human was in this school. Soon we weren't the only ones either. A lot of people started complaining about the weird happenings in the boys' room. One day we came to school to find that somebody had smeared human waste all over the walls and even on the ceiling in there. Soon after, Milo told us that
Ew.
his yeah. uh
Bro.
I don't know if that can be attributed to the
I was
paranormal,
gonna
dude,
say that
but
just sounds like a someone is really upset about it. Someone is mad at the janitor.
yeah. Oh man, dude. I don't think they even
Yeah.
think of that poor dude. That's fucked though. I wouldn't want to be a janitor for a. That's high school though. Like you would think they would know better. I don't know. Soon after, Milo told us that his uncle had been seeing the lights coming on in the school every night when he personally locked it after everyone went home. Eventually, our phones all started glitching and going to some pretty weird websites where we saw some things that I can't mention here due to their content and sensitive nature, but you probably have an idea of what we saw. In the end, called a priest was in the end, a priest was called to the school. After he came and blessed the place, most of the activity died down. Not too long after, my parents moved me out after I got into a fight with a bully and left him bleeding, though I had an asthma attack because of it. That was 4 years ago now, and I haven't talked to either one of them since because we all just fell out of touch. But sometimes when I'm alone, I really wonder what exactly we saw that day and whether there are things that we really can't explain.
Hmm. That's interesting. So that one was like a little bit less of like a Bloody Mary, and kind of like what we were talking about. They just kind of like summoned some other kind of entity, or maybe who knows? Maybe it was like a Bloody Mary entity, and like maybe it's like Pennywise. You know how he just kind of puppets like the clown like
Yeah,
persona.
yeah,
I don't know.
right. What I found interesting is how they described the entity as a him.
Yeah.
Like, they said he was watching us and just, I don't know, just how he was like crouched down in the tunnel, the maintenance tunnel thing. It's like, doesn't seem very ladylike.
See, I don't know why, but I imagined like they're looking up at the ceiling, and there's like this black like portal. Like that's what I imagine, like this thing just spilling out of
Oh,
like this black
yeah.
portal.
See, when I first read it, I missed that part too. Like, I was like, what? Like, a tunnel or like. And then I had to go back and read this part that he just like touches on a little bit. But, yeah, it's like this maintenance tunnel thing, and the tile was never put back on. And
Oh, okay.
like that's how like the maintenance crew gets into the tunnel and like they fix something up there. I forget if it's like something related to HVAC or what,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, they saw it up there, which is kind of weird. Like maybe they would have saw that regardless if they did the Bloody Mary thing, but I have a feeling it was related. Anyways,
Yeah, it's probably even something laying dormant, and then they just kind of did
yeah.
something that just kind of awoken it.
Yeah, like when their psychic friend was saying she saw like dead people and everywhere. It's like they just went in there all like fear and like amped up, and like all these entities are like turning their heads at them.
Yeah.
But this story's a lot shorter.
Okay.
That one was kind of long, but I thought it was pretty good. Bloody Mary Experience by Gourmet Wade. Maybe some of you could relate to this. When I was younger, probably around 7th grade, I became curious and skeptical about various so called paranormal things, one of them being the legend of Bloody Mary. I wasn't too familiar with it besides what my friends had told me, the standard stories involving mirrors and spoken word. I proceeded to do an experiment one day after school when I was home alone. I had an old mirror and drawers in my room, so it seemed like a good opportunity. I then looked in the mirror and casually just said, I don't want to say it, her name, but
Said the words.
she said, I
Yeah.
have your, well, she only said it once, and then she said, I have your
Oh.
children. Okay,
Okay. I have heard.
which seems pretty antagonizing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have.
So she says
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so she says that not 1 second later, a ceramic sun slash moon themed thermometer I had hanging on the wall next to the mirror started to shake and rattle wildly. I then quickly took it off the wall and ran outside, shocked and scared. It was the middle of the afternoon, so I just stayed outside and waited for others to come home. Needless to say, I never dabbled with anything of the sort again, and I never hung that thermometer back up either. The wall it was hanging on was a hallway on the other side, so there's no piping or anything that would cause it to shake. Really freaked me out, whether it's a result of some type of poltergeist activity or collective consciousness. It shook me as a kid, and I will never forget it.
Yeah. No. I think that one's not that the other one wasn't plausible, but I feel like this one is probably more along the lines of something that would happen to me.
Yeah, this one sounds way more
Yeah.
realistic. The other one, I find it plausible because of, I mean, maybe it was just a really good writer, but there were like a lot of little things that just seemed like it would be hard to imagine, like all the little details. But the one sticking point to the last story for me was the whole like Milo spending the night in the classroom. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he forgot his phone, maybe he had his phone, but there was an internet, or maybe he like tried calling for help, but no one answered.
But
But
couldn't he have climbed out of the window? Couldn't he
I
climb
don't
into the
know.
window to get their bags? So
That's the other thing. Yeah, right, he did. Unless it's like a two-story school.
maybe. I don't know.
So it's weird. It's like a strange plot point. I wish he went into
Yeah.
that more. But this one it's just like simple. It's like it kind of makes sense, like even though she only said it one time, like I have your children. And one of the Bloody Mary theories on like who she was, I forget, I think it was Queen Elizabeth something, and like she was obsessed with, well, whoever it was. Like it made me think of like how, I forget
Mary.
her name, but one of them was like really wanting to have kids and she couldn't.
Yeah, I think it was Mary Queen of
And
England. I think. Yeah.
she started like wanting kids so much that she like looked pregnant. There's like some sort of term for that. Yeah, so that's
Yeah, like phantom
trippy.
pregnancy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear about that, um, and I did hear from different people, different videos, doing research. I heard people say, "Oh, that was the Bloody Mary." Other people said, "No, that's just a nickname that was thrown to her, but she's not real Bloody Mary. So I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on what you believe. But the thing that kind of tripped me out about that is that particular part of the story reminds me of the tale of La Llorona. And do you know? I think I told you about La Llorona, right?
Maybe. Yeah, by all means, tell it
Um,
again, and maybe I'll remember.
yeah,
Maybe I haven't heard
we'll
it
have to do
yet.
yeah, we'll have to do like a full episode someday. But basically, La Llorona is a female ghost in Mexican culture, and she was like this. The story kind of changes a little bit um, depending on who tells it, but basically, one story is that she got married to this guy, and she had two kids, and her husband went to war, and then he died, and then out of like anger, she drowned her kids. Another story was um, her husband was cheating on her, and then he ran off with some other lady. So to get back at him, uh, she drowned her two sons, like in the river, and then she, once they died, she realized what she had done, and she like wanders around and she cries like mis hijos, which is like in Spanish. She's like, my sons, where are you? Um, so when she kind of said, "I have your children," that's kind of what that reminds me of was Llorona, because like the tale goes like she would like appear and um you hear her like crying off in the forest, like, looking for her children. So I don't know, kind of remind me of that a little bit. But we'll have to do an episode on
Damn.
La Llorona.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't think you've told me about La Llorona,
Yeah,
it's pronounced, or... Yeah, that's
yeah,
a scary story, and believable, and I get why it reminded you of it. Like, maybe, who knows, maybe that was her pulling up. Maybe it wasn't Bloody Mary, but La Llorona.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but one thing is for sure: when you mess in the spirit world, you never know what you're gonna get. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, Bloody Mary, um, is Bloody Mary a legit person who once lived and walked the earth as we do now? I don't know. Um, maybe she's just an entity. Maybe she's an entity that donned the name Bloody Mary. Who knows? But one thing's for sure is I don't know. Actually, it's not for sure. But if you look into a mirror, you might see her. It's just about to say one thing's for sure. You'll see her in the mirror, but I guess it's not.
that would
So
be awful.
I guess I can't guarantee that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recommend playing it. I mean, unless that's what you're into. But um, this is the part of the video where we had our disclaimer, and we're not responsible for any lost eyes.
Yeah, or death, or scratches that lead to
Yeah,
infection and then death, or
exactly. Not on
scratches.
us. So
Not on us, bro. We told you not to do it.
exactly.
But I
Yeah.
can see the appeal in doing it if you're an atheist, actually. But I'm still not gonna recommend it.
Yeah, not a good idea. Not a good idea to mess around with forces you don't know about. But yeah, if you guys liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you've ever had any encounters with Bloody Mary. Give your own stories. If you don't believe in Bloody Mary, maybe leave a comment. Don't forget to share the video. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Afterlife. Please like and subscribe. And as always, I've been Dre.
And I've been Luke.
And we'll see you on the other side.